ho, ho. Unless I hate Christmas. I tell you. That's one of those holidays. They took it and took it to another level. Hello, this is Adolph Mongo. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Wednesday edition. It is Christmas Eve. Good evening, Jim Nardone from Trenton, former police chief.
Good evening. You don't like my music? I was getting worried about you don't like my music. He's going to use a big word like proximal. And Derek Henry, good morning, evening to all our friends out there. We're here. If you have time, check us out tonight. Spend a little time with us. We want to spend our Christmas with all our friends out there tonight.
No question. Attorney Vanessa Moss. Hello, Vanessa.
Hello, Adolph. Hello, Jim. And hello to all of you that are watching Detroit Black and White. You can catch Detroit Black and White on all social media platforms. If you're watching Detroit Black and White, Janet, you already know. We love that you followed the assignment. Thank you so much. We want you to like, subscribe, and share. We also want you to join in the comments. And we also have a link. So if you want to join in and show your face on Detroit Black and White, you're more than welcome to. Like, subscribe, and share. Make sure that you make your presence known. Good evening, Jill Sheridan. And guess what? It's Christmas Eve. I found out about 7 hours ago that it was Christmas Eve. I'm telling you, I've been tripping. I've been a day behind, 2 days behind.
How you just find out it's Christmas Eve?
What I did today, I got up this morning and I said, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and go and train. So I met with my personal trainer. And when I left, she said, well, okay, because it was another young lady. She said, have a happy, a Merry Christmas or whatever. I didn't think anything of it. I get my vehicle. I'm talking to one of our commenters on Detroit Black and White. And I'm telling her the story about how I'm invited to someone's house on Christmas Eve, not realizing that I was talking about today. I get home, I'm chilling out. And somebody called and I said, well, what's today? Somebody called and asked me if I was working today. I said, you know what? I should be. I didn't have court today. That's what I said. I said I didn't have court today. They said court isn't open today. I said, oh, what's today? Today's the 23rd. They said no. I said, oh, dang, it's the 24th. Oh, okay, it's Christmas Eve. I told you guys I wasn't feeling the holidays this year.
Well, you're not feeling it. Lengel, how you doing? I thought you was hanging out with Mrs. Santa.
I totally forgot. It's Christmas Eve, and I'm thinking, like, there's no show today. But
East Side, Allan, were you all wandering around the East Side tonight?
I was not. I'm staying West Side all the way today.
Everybody looks good tonight. Jill, Janet, you don't like my music? You guys all looking like you're in a Christmas spirit. Derek Henry, they look great. Everybody that's out there, thank you for being a part of this show tonight.
Well, let me start out with you, Jim. As we come to a close in 2025, what has been the story of the year, or not, or what story has the media not covered?
Well, on a local business, when we're talking about local things, I think Mary Sheffield is a story of 2025, and I think I read there's a difference between hope and optimism, right? Because everybody talks about hope instead of talking about optimism. I want to be optimistic. My hope is this, that Mary Sheffield's able to balance the powers, the Detroit oligarchy versus the people in Detroit. And she's able to cross that over and respond to the needs of our residents in the city. That's what I'm hopeful and optimistic on. Not saying anybody else did a bad job. I'm just, my only point is that, you can balance the two if you do it right. The needs of the working people versus the needs of the people that are the catalysts for business in the community.
Vanessa, what story is your top story, or what story did the media didn't cover that you thought was important?
Well,
either one.
I'm going to join in with Jim, and the story would be the mayor-elect Mary Sheffield. but I'm also going to talk about the media didn't cover the greatest, the largest, the best, the most lit holiday event of 2025.
Was
Oh.
that your extravaganza, Vanessa?
Right. That was the
Oh.
family.
You know, it's really interesting. I met some really interesting people. So I end up sitting with, well, first I sit with a public defender, and then I end up sitting with a judge. So I don't know, that felt like a setup a little bit. I mean, there were some movers and shakers at the Vanessa Moss extravaganza. I can say that.
But
And I had a couple people come to me and said, I came here because you invited us over the radio, over the podcast. So,
And
yeah,
there were
you
some
see?
black and white our friends there. Thank you. I got to see Tracy again.
yeah,
Karen C. Winston, and a few other people were there.
you
Thank you.
guys missed a couple of people that are that were political people. Adolph, one of your former clients, but nice young lady. Her son is running for office again.
Oh,
Conyers.
well, Monica.
Yeah, her son was there too. It was nice. And
Okay. Okay.
Jonathan Barlow also came and they asked, it was like, where's Adolph? And you had left already. So,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Allan, you the journalist, you the resident journalist. Where was your top story? And what did your colleagues not cover that you covered or you didn't do?
I mean, I think the top story this year was the mayoral race. But I'll also say, I mean, locally, nationally, I mean, Trump the whole year was just insanity in so many different ways. I mean, just the immigration issues, the Department of Justice, all that kind of stuff. But locally, I'd say the mayoral race, I'd say, unfortunately, the coverage wasn't as good as it should have been. But I think we're missing out in the local media. The resources aren't there to and the ground to be skeptical of candidates. I think both candidates should have been vetted even more so by the media. But go ahead.
Well, but I look at it. But I took 2025 as a former journalist, newspaper reporter. It sickens me to see the downfall of the media, not only in this town but around the country, especially when you got a network like CBS pulling stories and kissing people ass and paying off folks, and they never did that shit, man.
Right.
They was always independent.
I've never seen it as bad as this. I mean, we see David Ellison or whatever taking a Paramount, sucking up, paying Trump for the 60-minute case. I'm not a lawyer, Vanessa is, but I'm not. But for decades now, I've had stories vetted by lawyers and stuff like that at the Washington Post, Detroit News. I have a pretty good idea what is liable and what is not. And I can tell you the cases that were settled by ABC for George Stephanopoulos saying that Trump was convicted civilly of rape. I can tell you that I could have taken that case, but they decided to pay $25 million as a bribe because these companies were trying to do mergers and stuff like that. We saw now with 60 Minutes where I watched the video of that show is now out on YouTube and everywhere on social media. It's a compelling story about how this administration has not only broken the law, violated due process, taken some innocent people without any criminal records. And I don't know if you've seen that, but the prisons down there in El Salvador are stacked. The beds are stacked. They're like sardines in these cells. It's inhumane. And, they're saying, well, there wasn't a comment from the administration. And then I was watching Fox News, and they were saying, well, if they couldn't have got a comment from the administration, they should have gotten somebody else to defend it. Sorry, it's the administration doing it. It's up to them to to comment on it. And so as the reporter who did the piece said, if CBS allowed for a non-comment to delay or stall the airing of the show, then it effectively gives the Trump administration a kill switch. They decide they don't want to comment, then 60 Minutes are going to be like,
well, you don't have a story. And I look at what's not happening here in Detroit, where there are stories, and you just don't. You're right. You don't have a people power to go after some of these stories. But I'm just looking at some of the people that they hire that don't have the experience. They come to a city like Detroit and they don't know shit, nothing, and they walking around like with a chicken with their heads cut off.
Can I ask you a question, Adolph?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Hey, Derek Henry, we see you. Good evening to you. We're glad you're joining us on this Christmas Eve. Mr. 1213, good evening. Merry Christmas to you. And G Money Hollywood, our good friend. Thank you for being a part of the show. Well, I think another big story, at least in our little family here, is the rebirth of Adolph Mongo on Detroit in Black and White. Do you want to comment on that, Adolph? You want to talk a little bit about,
about what?
About where you were and where, your little, how you came back from, a couple of challenges.
No big deal.
Adolph being born again?
No, he's not born again. He's not like Bob Dylan.
Easy.
I'm not. I wasn't born again. But
it's been an eventful year.
I can't wait. I can't wait for 2025 to leave. I swear. From last January to this December, it ain't been the best of times. But I'm glad I got folks that supported me, etc. But for a period of 5-6 weeks, it was not too good.
You look great. How much weight have you gained since you returned from?
I got back to my what I had when I got ill. I was down to 140. I had been to 140. I think I was in junior high school.
Wow.
The only reason I bring that up is because I was at an event tonight and they talked about how good you look. So I said, well, what about the rest of us? They were like, no, Adolph looks good.
I'm just walking. I'm glad I can walk and talk. And hey,
man, I feel
so are we.
I injured my leg. I had a leg brace on for 3 months. I was doing physical therapy, which I just finished. I tore my quadricep tendon. I just finished physical therapy in August.
You've come a long way too, Allan.
Yeah, it's you appreciate, as Adolph says, just being able to walk and be mobile and drive. I didn't drive my car for 4 months.
Well, I'm just started to drive again, and I'm not haven't been driving on the freeway, etc. But I tell you, it was an experience. When you wake up and you depended on any and everybody. You can't do anything for yourself.
Yeah, happy holidays to you. We're glad. Yeah. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for your participation. True sensation, somebody that was monumental in transferring Adolph from his outstate visit to back home back in October. Thank you, True Sensation. Thank you for tuning in. She said you look awesome, Adolph. She saw you.
I'm now a resident of Oklahoma City. Yeah. I stayed there long enough to register to vote, but my vote wouldn't count anyway because they got a different kind of politics.
Your bride became familiar with she met some friends out there, right?
Yeah, well, the nicest people. And I had a great team of doctors, nurses, etc. It was, you were at the mercy of these folks, and they came through. I can't say not one bad word. Plus, I had somebody covering my back. She was there every day for 5 weeks in a row, and she kidnapped me out of the hospital. Say, time to go back to Detroit.
And Dr.
Yeah.
Mongo was meeting and dealing with all kinds of outside issues while you were tied up. We're
And
thankful.
I appreciate you, Jim. But like I said, I appreciate you, Teresa, Vanessa, Allan. You know, I had about, when I were able to look at my telephone, I had so many messages. It's like every day, people, where you at? And you know, it's like
And True Sensation is the angel we needed.
Yeah.
I don't know how much luckier we could have been.
So they came to the rescue, helped me get back to Detroit. Yes, 2025, I can't wait for 2025 to get the fuck out of here, because it wasn't, you know, it was a year that, you know, I wish I didn't have to go through, but yeah, I'm here talking. So.
You know what's interesting is a friend of mine, I spoke, the one that I was supposed to go to her house for Christmas Eve. She's probably sitting there waiting, like, where's Vanessa? She said the same thing, Adolph. Her sentiments were the same as yours. She said, I cannot wait for 2025 to be gone. I can't wait to nail it shut. She said 2025 has been a heck of a ride. And so she's looking forward to new beginnings in 2026. And you know what? It's probably a whole lot of people feel the same way.
Well, you know, I know there's a lot of people in Detroit, people that are lost loved ones to violence and everything else that's happening in our city. I just hope in the new year that the city get they got to do something with this gun violence, because just the headlines today: a woman and 1-year-old shot.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it never ends. When will it end? You know, the guns are plentiful. You know, and these kids, they got more firepower than the police department. Some of them.
Should we take a break? And
Yeah,
Allan and
let's take a break, and we'll come back and we continue our Christmas Eve show with our regular panel, Vanessa, Allan, and Jim.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Yeah, welcome back to our Christmas Eve show. I tell you, it just don't feel like, to me, the holidays. The Christmas is for kids, and that's who should be enjoying it. Otherwise, it's a bunch of advertising and people pushing merchandise. So I'm not waiting up for Santa Claus. He's not coming to my house.
Yeah. I was going to say something about when we talk about, say, in 2026, we got to do something about gun violence. But, when I was at the Washington Post, I can't tell you how many candlelight vigils I went to where somebody died, and they'd stand around, everybody hold a candle, and someone would, one of the victim's family members would say, start crying and we got to stop this and stuff like that. And that was 25 years ago. And we keep, people say, when we see it on the president, when there's a mass shooting in America, they say prayers are with you. And, so what? You're offering prayers, but we're never moving forward.
No solutions. And Allan, we got two people on this panel that have seen all this. Vanessa, she probably represented some of these people who've been accused of doing some of these crazy things, and we got Jim, who probably arrested a lot of these folks. What's the solution, Vanessa, Jim? How do we get a handle on this shit?
So I think that it takes, and we've talked about this before, it takes more than one thing, but there really has to be a shift in how we look at things as culturally. There really has to be a shift. I mean, just very recently, yesterday, a young person was able to buy a firearm off Facebook Marketplace. I don't know how that happens, but they were able to buy a firearm and, wreak some havoc, allegedly. The mindset is just so cavalier. And actually, Jim could probably say the same thing. You see it so much, it's like, turning on a light when you walk into a dark room. It's just very commonplace is the point that I'm trying to make.
And I think you're right, Vanessa. It's cultural. And until we decide that we don't want to hurt people to solve our problems, it's tragic. Mr. 1213 said, I'm sure the Lions fans.
I just think that there is some solutions that we can't keep saying, well, it's life. That's the way things go and stuff like that. I think there are ways, socially, culturally, economically, where we can address those things. And I find it very frustrating when I hear people say, well, that's the way it is. This is the way, gun violence. I've seen it in the neighborhoods where people just say, hey, there's gunfire every night. What can we do about it? That's the way this neighborhood is. It's like, it's not,
when I grew up,
we can't accept it to say it's unacceptable.
Well, when I grew up, I only know of two people, young people, my whole life got killed by gunfire. One was by the police, and one was 15. He was on our little league baseball team. He broke into a store, and the owner was there and shot him. But it wasn't like every other week you read about kids getting, gunned down by other kids, drive-bys, and it just got out of hand. You can't even get in an argument with somebody that they come back and they want to shoot you. Or, go by your house. They know kids are in the house. They shoot it up.
They don't care.
They don't care.
I want to talk to our friends out there. I stopped going real.
I was just ready to say that, Jim. I was just getting ready to go there.
So, go ahead, Jim. One of y'all.
I was going to say, G Money Hollywood, congrats to you. Adolph, you're right. Like Tricks for Kids also is Xmas. Christ was not born on 12/25. That's a lie, as I said earlier. Every day is a new day. Thank you. You don't like my music? The answer is the same. Democracy, inequality, money is power. Technology.
What does that mean? The answer is the same as ever. Democracy and equality. Is that I don't get. When we talk in very vague terms and stuff like that, we're not addressing the issue. I want to
touch on that for just a second,
yeah,
Allan. In just a second, I want to say hello to our first high technology. Democratize high technology. Struggling there. You don't like my music. Thank you. And there's our friend Day. Hello, Day. Happy holidays to you. You're under the weather. Hope you're feeling better. Stephanie Jackson, who is, to me, the voice of reason in a world of nonsense. She always has really good things to say. Thank you, Stephanie, for tuning in. Susie Smith, hello to you. God bless you. Happy holidays. And I want you guys to touch on this, and I'll touch on the other one in a second. Adolph, evident with WXYZ with the revolving door. Allan, I want you kind of hit on this too. employing all green people. Again, it's mainly due to the competition from people launching their own newscasts. They have to cut costs. What is both of your, I mean, Adolph, you told us what your position, I think, is on the media. Allan, I want you to be a little bit more specific on, if you can, about talking about the state of the media today, if you would.
Well, I just think it's so compromised. I mean, you have Jeff Bezos, who bought the Washington Post. When I was at the Washington Post, the Grahams were like hands off. They didn't mess with stories. They didn't meddle. You got Jeff Bezos, who's meddling. You've got Disney, who's meddling with ABC. They were going to fire Jimmy Kimmel for because he was saying something that, you know, the MAGA people found insulting, until people pushed back, including me, who canceled my Hulu account and told them why. And suddenly they were like, they brought him back. But we see it with CBS now. They have David Ellison, and I think his son, have taken over Paramount, and they don't want to get on the bad side of Trump. Trump just he just tweeted, which is outrageous. He says he's just tweeted about late night TV and said, we need to get rid of all these people, and maybe we should start pulling the licenses from these stations. It's like, you know, we can't have it. We've got the Los Angeles Times. The doctor bought that, and he started meddling into, you know, you have to have some integrity in the media. Once you're losing that.
Are you suggesting that the integrity left with Donald Trump? It was there before, and I think that's a disservice to the people that are watching this show, because when COVID was here and they put in pressure on Jeff Zuckerberg, I don't remember the Democrats standing up and saying, I believe in free speech when it comes to Facebook. Right. This didn't start overnight. I want to be respectful. It's Christmas Eve. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for being a part of this. But, you know, you got to call it out all the time, Allan, not just when it's not your team.
Well, look, I'll say that I agree. There shouldn't be meddling in that respect, but there still is. I mean, we have not figured out social media. Is social media a public square for everybody, or is it privately owned and operated? Where do they draw the line and say, okay, Donald Trump, you are a crazy motherfucker. You can't keep posting all the shit. You're banned. And not
for free speech, though, Allan.
No, I'm saying that's what I'm trying to say, is that we haven't figured out social media yet. Like, where do we draw the line? What's acceptable? What's unacceptable? Should anyone be able to say anything? Should you be able to say any race?
I should be able to call Donald Trump son Barron a retarded motherfucker. Yeah. But if I did that, Donald Trump would go crazy. But he can get on TV and say all kind of other shit.
Right.
You know, I can call his wife a prostitute. They get upset. That, you know, where does it end?
But basically, that's what you're doing. You called out a son just now. You called out the wife, and guess what? They're not going to shut you down. So my point is this: is that on one, to me, you can't have it both ways. Some people can say what they want to say, and nobody scrutinizes it, because you do not like the guy that is the head administrator. Everything he says has been scrutinized. I remember the other week, Allan, you made a comment. You said that what the current administrator said was not presidential. And that was as it relates to the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife. And I didn't say it, but I thought it. And I'm saying to myself, well, you're the same person who said that we want transparency. You're the person who says that he did not sound presidential. So is sounding presidential, does that mean, I'm asking you this question, does that mean that he's not honest and say how he feels? Because if that's the case, I'm going to say that almost every president that we have had has said things that are presidential that may not necessarily be.
I'm sorry.
Transparent. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So we can't have it both. I'm saying you can't have it both ways.
He can say whatever the fuck he wants, and he apparently does. That's fine. But he's president. I'm not president. I mean, he is supposed to be setting a standard for trying to unite people. He is trying to set the fire to create a civil war in this country. he is so low class. I mean, for him to say what he said, he's the president of the United States. If you don't like that person, then shut the fuck up. You don't need to say that stupid stuff. We become so accepting of what he has lowered the standards.
No, I don't think
of that office, and that's
I don't
my
think people
opinion.
feel that way. I don't think people believe that it's acceptable, Allan. And I only have one beef with what 90% about what you said is right. My only problem, and I'll just leave it at that, this is you give Donald Trump way too much damn credit. All right. It's Christmas Eve. Donald Trump at his core is a coward. He got in his plane on Inauguration Day and he whimpered back to Florida. This is who Donald Trump is. Why you and others give this guy all this credit and think he's all this powerful and he's going to lead this country to a civil war? That's an attack on the American people. The American people are smarter than that. They know he's an idiot. They know he's an idiot.
You know what I'm going to call it? I'm going to call it what he call it. Trump derangement syndrome.
You know what? And that's a way. That's a way of him trying to mute any criticism of all the crazy stuff. Look, the stuff that he has done into the Justice Department.
Well, I just think nature is going to take its it's going to do what it's going to do.
You could be right.
You know, I just one day I just wake up and all is well. You know,
He's going to be president. He's not going to be king of this country. He's going to be gone. And if he's alive in 3 years, he'll be getting on his plane and whimpering and going back to Mar-a-Lago like he did the last time. It's only the left that is so afraid of him because
I disagree, Jim. Maybe the left is afraid of him, and I agree with you on that. The right is terrified of him.
Right.
So that's why they
Ben
know.
Sass wasn't terrified of him. Ben Sass is not terrified of him.
Who's not terrified of him?
Isn't even in Congress anymore.
I agree, but the point was he wasn't afraid of him.
Yeah, but most of these people are leaving, not running for re-election because they just tired of the bullshit. But anyway, let's go past Donald Trump. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Listen, we get comments, and sometimes I get comments even in my social media, in my messenger. We have a viewer who always makes comments, but I thought it was very interesting when Adolph, you asked us at the beginning of the show what was our top story, and Jim talked about the mayor-elect Sheffield, and I concurred. This individual says, greetings and a very safe and happy holiday season to you. So, should we bear ominous concern that soon-to-be Mayor Sheffield appointed Dave Mazarin, the bond attorney who was instrumental in the Flint water debacle, as the head of her transition team? He goes on to say, I am of the opinion that anyone even remotely involved with that tragedy should not be allowed near another municipality. As an elder once told me, you can't run with the foxes and buddy with the hounds. He goes on to say, this is the very reason why most informed voters do not avail themselves any longer.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if you look at her transition team and you look at some of those people, and some of my suspects, but they are recycled folks, and they've been around. They the political folks. Dave Mazarin, he got some clout. Mm-hmm. You know, he's like a roach. He's never going away. You can spray and spray. They keep showing up. You just have to look. Butch Hollowell, he come back from the political dead. You know. They called him in Highland Park, whatever he was doing, you know, but he's back and he worked for Doug and he worked here. Hey, you know, like I said, there's no permanent friends or enemies in the world of politics. Right. And I wouldn't be surprised who some of the other appointments that she make. I'm just waiting now. The deputy mayor and the chief of staff. You know, those are people that are loyal to him, though. I think they was good appointments. Right. You got people that got your back. Now we'll see how it work out because, you know, now I read something in one of the papers saying, "Oh, this deputy mayor is going to do lots of good things." Deputy mayor don't do shit but show up. I think we get the last deputy mayor. Well, our friend Todd Bettison was the only deputy mayor that I know that was out in the community. He made more appearances than Duggan. You know,
So
yeah.
well, that brings me to, and I'm going to ask you guys this question. What do you think about the parting words of the outgoing mayor who is currently running for governor
Bullshit.
of Michigan?
I call it bullshit.
In
Hey,
reference to
bullshit. I
surplus,
read it.
and wait a minute, let me finish. He talks about the surplus, but you also have this whole thing. He called for the investigation of this whole dirt thing that's going on, as they call it, the dirty dirt. What are your
Well,
opinions?
he's all involved in that shit. And then he signed off on those contracts. You know what's so deja vu about all this shit? That when he left the prosecutor's office, the feds was investigating him. When he left the Wayne County executive office, the feds was investigating him. When he left DMC, the feds. Now it's just that's just the way it is. Now he calls an airstrike on his own self. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we'll investigate this. But he's right in the middle of it. Go ahead, Allan.
I was going to bring this up, so I'm glad you mentioned it, Vanessa. I think it's interesting that he made the announcement. He didn't have to make the announcement that the soil was under investigation by the state, Detroit and the state, but he did it, and I think he was doing that to control the narrative.
Right.
He's leaving. He didn't want to leave, and suddenly, like, boom, it blows up, and Mary Sheffield's got to deal with it, and he doesn't have a voice really in saying what's going on. So he was like, I'm controlling the narrative. I'm going to take responsibility here, and I'm going to control this thing. And that it was a very strategic thing on his part.
But
well, we all there, but anybody that know Duggan is a slime ball. I worked with him, worked against him. Listen, he's slick Willie. And you know what? You can't count him out. I know you, Allan, you think he's going to be governor. Jim thinks Jocelyn Bisnet going to be governor. I think they might eat each other up, and whoever gets a Republican nomination wins the race. So, you know, he is smart. And I agree with you on that. But can he eradicate himself from that scandal that's about to break? And it's going to break too.
What I find interesting is that you basically telling yourself, listen, this happened, so listen, I'm going to control the narrative. I've already called in for an investigation. At the same time, you talk about this surplus. How much of that surplus is going to go towards trying to fix what you created?
Well, I'm going to ask you a question, Vanessa and Adolph and Allan. And Vanessa, if you would talk to some of our friends who took, after I asked this question, who are spending their Christmas Eve. Thank you all for participating. We're glad that you're spending time with us. So who did Mayor Duggan ask to investigate this alleged crime? If that doesn't tell you the story, I'll tell you who he asked. He asked the Detroit Police Department, who was under his command, to investigate this crime. He didn't ask the state police. He didn't ask the FBI. He didn't ask the EPA. He asked the Detroit Police doesn't investigate dirt. So in the end, it appears that this is just an effort.
Bullshit.
That Mike Duggan to control the outcome.
Right. The bullshit.
But it's also the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy is also investigating, but it should be the EPA and the FBI.
Did he call for that, or did someone else call for that?
I don't know if he did.
Called the Detroit Police, who he appoints the chief of police to investigate him. That's a really objective.
They're both investigated, but it should be the EPA and the FBI should be doing that.
Not really a police matter.
Totally above board. And so you're right. I mean, it's not the Detroit police. I've never heard of something like this.
Yeah, I know. I tell you, he just think people are stupid, you know, and
My whole point of bringing it up. I'm like, do you really
he
believe
just
that?
think he just think people are stupid. Oh, I changed the narrative of how people think. And I know what he's doing. He's running for governor statewide so he can take this message around the state and say, "Look what I did for the city. I turned it around. It was all fucked up, you know, and I did this, I did that, I did this, and I tell you." I can get 10 people on the show and who can tell me how many of those projects was created, and it wasn't by Mike Duggan or the people he brought in.
I have a
Miss
question
Sheila.
for you, Adolph. You knowing the way cities operate. Let's say this costs $20 million, $30 million. Would the city try to sue these companies to try to get that money for them to clean up, or is that going
They can't even get money from back from Kwame. So how they gonna get the money back from the fucking? Yeah, they gonna sue them. Yeah, listen, but do you give somebody 60 million, 15 million? And Will Smith took 45 million, 50 million. How much money they gonna get back on that? The Conservancy, probably $5.
Yeah.
But by the time you go to court and you got then the city use outside attorneys because they don't use court counsel for those big lawsuits. They go pay somebody a couple $1,000,000 to chase some millions. It's just screwed up. And Duggan is a hands-on person. He knows who's getting those contracts. If he don't like them, he'll put thumbs down. You know, that Mary's boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, he knew he was getting those contracts and shit. And the guy was just a bad news. He getting bad dirt. And man, it's just a scam. And the media did not report it, did not write about it all the way up to the end. That's what I was talking about, the downfall of Detroit media. They know shit, they have shit, and they won't run it. Was that the editors, or that's who's running the paper and shit? Listen, I don't want to hear nothing about Mary in the first 6-7 months, because you could have wrote about it 7-8 months ago. Let her do her job. So leave her alone. But it ain't gonna happen because somebody gonna say, I need a story, and they're gonna start leaking shit, you know.
Right.
So yeah.
So a couple of our viewers, our guest is on, I believe she might be backstage, but I do want to address a couple of our guests. Mr. Evans said that it's going to take $40,000 per lot to clean. So $40,000 per lot, and we're talking about the dirty dirt. That's a heck of a lot of money. You also have, I'm sorry, excuse me. G Money Hollywood says the county as well as the media is being run like a direct democracy. I think we talked about that one already. Power Org says Vanessa Allan is right. I think he's talking about in reference to the current administrator and what he says, what comes out of his mouth. Stephanie says we were told we had to call men, women to unite the country. Jill Sheridan says, I don't recall a president who has had as much influence on media. Tamika Rainey said, that's right, Allan. Mr. 1213 says, I'm surprised that one Mike Comedy Club has closed down. I'm not surprised. And if you thought that the mayor-elect's father owned one, Mike,
Yeah.
sadly mistaken because he did not own it. So
No.
it's shocking. They bought Mike Epps' name to advertise it, to draw people in there. And I understand it was poorly managed. I mean, I heard a lot of people complaining about it. I never went.
But they said if the health department went in there, they would shut it down, but it shut it down itself. And right, Mike Epps had nothing to do with it. He put his name up there and got paid for his name. Probably was whatever they was making, they had to give him that shit. So yeah.
Stephanie Jackson says he's gone. Mayor Duggan. It's on Mary. We talked about the dirt issue. G Money Hollywood says the outgoing mayor brought hope to the city and the incoming regime. He is predicting that there will be close to 0 abandoned homes left to tear down by the end of 2026. The media liked that news. Miss Sheila said, "Good evening, Miss Sheila. I called you, Miss Lady." She says, "Great show. Thank you so much." Again, a shout out today. Mr. 1213 says land grab. Stephanie says Duggan is playing chess, not checkers. G Money Hollywood is talking.
But he's not Bobby Fischer. He's a fucking high school kid. If he playing chess, he not Bobby Fischer. He just a fucking Republican in disguise. He should have just it became what he truly is. He's a Republican, and the run as an independent is not going to do it.
Become that. If he was already that, he didn't become that. You mean he just showing who he really is, right?
He grew up at a young Republican club. He was a Republican. Listen, I don't have no problem. I know a lot of Republicans.
I was just getting ready to say that. Is that a bad thing?
No, but if I'm saying I'm a lamb and I'm really a fucking wolf, you know, then that is something, you know.
Hey, Merry Christmas, FBA Convo. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're glad to see you tonight. Sorry, go ahead, Vanessa.
Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll put your guests on, and right after a quick break.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Okay, we're back. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Detroit Black and White. We have Keisha Brooks, who is not a stranger to Detroit Black and White. She's been on the show a couple of times. She talked about massages and the difference in the law in the state of Michigan, the loophole. She also was on the show. I wasn't here that evening, but I understand you were our first guest to appear via the bathroom. Or when coming on tonight, Adolph said, "I hope she's not in the bathroom." But Keisha Brooks is appearing tonight because she is the president of the Hatfield Block. She's the Block Club president, and she wants to talk about. There it is. She's going to talk about rejecting plans to reopen a strip club in an area that's working to revitalize its image while maintaining cultural dignity. Good evening, Keisha Brooks. Happy holidays. It was great to see you this Saturday.
Yes. You were looking amazing. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful event.
Thank you
for having me.
No problem. So we're just going to shoot right to it. I told Adolph knows that you were coming on the show, so I don't know if he wanted to start off asking you questions, but just
I'll start off. Okay. What's the name of the club that's trying to reopen?
It's called Cover Girl on Whittier.
Oh, I haven't heard that. Well, just for your information, I represented about 4 topless clubs. We're on the verge of losing their Class D license and stuff. And what I found after dealing with the city council and the police department, that the city just dropped the ball when it comes to dealing with establishments like topless clubs and bars and stuff. And, can't get mad at people that are trying to make a living. But I do understand in some of the neighborhoods where you wake up and you got condom wrappers and all kind of other stuff on your front lawn and people shooting up in the parking lot. You know, it's just it's just everybody gets a raw deal all the way around. Why are you against this particular establishment?
I think I think there's a bigger conversation that needs to be had, but to answer your question, what you just alluded to, the vices that come of that, the consequences that come from, people so-called just trying to make a living, right? There's so many different ways to make a living. But when you introduce business operations that have a consequence of drugs or violence or prostitution, possibly, or even human trafficking, there's a problem, especially when they're in very close proximity to elementary school. Wayne Elementary is over there. It's maybe a mile and a half from Denby, where you have young girls that catch the bus. There's a couple churches on Whittier, Martin Evers. We do our community block club meetings, which are sometimes outside, which is only 3 blocks away. But the bigger picture for me is, do people in this community that have seen the fallout of the crack epidemic and the abandonment and neglect of neighborhoods and residents, and like you said, Adolph, you're absolutely right. Detroit has dropped the ball on a lot of things that has to do with Detroit. If it does not fit the narrative or the image or in the area or within the demographic that they want to support. So in the last 2 years, we've done a lot of work over here. We've had great cleanup, and as well as working closely with our district managers, with our business liaisons with the DECG, with our council members, Letitia Johnson. District 4 has, really done a lot of work, and especially in this region on the north end of 94, where everyone knows about Morningside, everyone knows about Yorkshire, but Outer Drive Hayes has been, in Whittier, Denby, has been just a throwaway. I remember having a friend say when she was looking for a house over here, that when she got on the other side of the freeway, it looked like a bomb exploded. And I took that very, offensively, but like at the time, it's true. And so over the last 2 years, we've done things like we have monthly cleanups. Our residents are actually involved. We actually
but let me ask you this, Ms. Brooks. This club says they're trying to rehab their reputation.
How?
What
By continuing
I'm
to
not.
keep it
That's
as it is?
what are they doing? What are they doing that's going to be different than what they did in the past?
Well, that's a very good question, because we at the Block Club, or with the Houston Whittier Business Association, or at the Harper Business Association, have not seen them. They claim that they have been, no residents or no one has, said anything bad about what they're doing. But the truth is they haven't come to us. We have monthly meetings, and there have been many new businesses that come into that area. And before they open up, they come to our Block Club meetings. And that is one of the reasons why I established it. So there could be at least an organization in this area that when something has to be addressed, you would have somewhere to go to.
Should the city just ban topless clubs? Period. Because I know you go to Iceland, don't have topless clubs. I'm just thinking about some of the places that they don't have it. They banned it, but the city, it's legal to get a license if you meet the requirements, and here we are. But what is the How far can you be from a church, from a school? Like you can't open up marijuana stores
Dispensaries, yeah.
or casinos
Mhm.
right next to residential areas.
Well, that's a very good question, and that also brings up an issue of zoning, because I say that too. You think about Whittier and Harper, Hayes and Kelly; these are commercial corridors, but they run right into, like, they're in the heart of a neighborhood. And so we created a letter to, and we have submitted it to Councilwoman Johnson, as well as our district managers, that, if there could be a memorandum of these corridors not, or banning strip clubs from opening up, as well as limiting the amount of liquor stores. Look,
But
the reality is,
you know how many lawsuits the city has lost dealing with strip clubs, and I can tell you, and they millions of dollars city have had to pay out. That's why I say the city has dropped the ball.
yes.
They have not done it right. Jim, you as a former police officer, how did you deal with those establishments?
Well, we didn't have any of those establishments in our community, which is kind of interesting when you start
There you
looking
go.
at the big picture. So this is, I just want to touch on this real quick. What these kind of establishments lead to are drug addiction, human trafficking, sexual abuse, physical intimidation, prostitution. The list goes on and on, right? We're taking advantage. You know, like my music talked about decriminalizing the act of, his point is well taken. His point is, why are we throwing people in jail that have been abused during their lifetime? This is tragic, if anything else. And the point is, you don't have strip clubs on Grosse Ile and in Trenton and in Grosse Pointe Shores. They
Right.
are in Detroit.
That's
So,
why I say, why don't they get rid of prohibit them altogether, Vanessa?
so when Keisha, when you contacted me, I was aware of the story because the story has been on the news. My question to you is, this is something that didn't just happen overnight.
No.
There has been talk of this club opening for
Yes.
months. They've been aware for months. And when I say months, not 2, not 3, not 4, over 8 months, this has been the conversation. So what has been the conversation with city council as it relates to that? I know you have one person that represents that area, but it seems to me is contradicting what they say the vision of what Detroit is. They want to invest in neighborhoods. Well, if you're investing in a neighborhood, why is it okay to have an entity like this in a neighborhood where people have children, you have families, you're trying to have them educated? It just doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either. And it honestly, I know I have to work with my district managers and my city council, but it has been crickets with them. When I first found out about this was back in September 29th. I wrote a letter to, and I try to follow protocol. So I wrote a letter to my district manager and kind of pleading, like, please help us. Please don't let this happen. And that was when they were demolishing a child care center that at the time was closed, but they demolished the child care center so that they can be in so-called compliance of not being in so many proximity of a school. And they expanded the parking lot. And so what happens is that, you have a little buzz going on amongst the 10 or 20 community leaders around here, and then nothing happens. And so, you kind of just think, like, it doesn't make sense, to the point where, like, this can't happen, right? This, they claim that they are finally looking at our region. They claim that they're finally going to, give us some funds in order for us to upwardly mobile our community. And then they turn around and allow this to happen. And so it was not until I reached out to the media station, to Channel 4, and that's when the balls got to roll, and that's when the investigation started. But at this point, like, to your point, Vanessa, we're 8 months in. They're actively actively renovating the inside of.
When do they go before city council? We running out of time. When are they going before city council to
I
get
have no
permission
idea.
to reopen?
I have no
Okay.
idea.
Well, we're gonna have to. You're gonna have to come back on, and because I'm interested in what is going to happen with this club, and I know that the pandemic. I was telling before we went on the air that the pandemic killed about 5 or 6 clubs that never reopened. I say they did. The pandemic did what the city couldn't do. Close them down. But this is something we're going to continue to talk about, and we're going to want to have you on again. Thank you for coming on. And if somebody,
Can I
go
quickly
ahead.
just input that we have a petition going on right now?
Go
If I
ahead.
can just put it into the chat, so that if anyone is interested in signing the petition against the reopening, and we have no problem with even thinking of something else to do with it.
Do you have a number of people? Do you have a number of people can call?
I don't have a number, but I have a link that
Go
you
ahead.
can go to. If I can just put it in the chat while you go on and continue.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. That I tell you that well, city bars are here to stay. Detroit unpaid money all over the place trying to close down some of these places.
Well, you know what?
They did close.
About it is that they've been talking about this and they've acted on this. You have a neighborhood association, right? These people go in. We want you to vote for us. We're gonna set you free. We're gonna make sure that things are right. But right in their faces, disrespectfully, as far as I'm concerned, these people have put money into these clubs. What's the likelihood of them being able to shut this thing down? The only
They're gonna
way
have a hard time. Allan, we went to school. We went to school with the king of strip clubs,
Allan
Mr. Markowitz.
But they closed down a lot of his clubs on 8 Mile Road because there was a lot of sex acts in the private
unless
room.
we as a community, and I'm not just talking about people who live over there. I'm saying as a collective, because you don't want it in your neighborhood.
I say we need to have a red light district. We got enough land. We got enough land to put the marijuana places there. Put all that shit over there and tax them and get paid. Anyway,
hopefully we'll have Keisha come back on after the first of the year.
Yeah, I'll be coming over for dinner tomorrow, everybody. Merry Christmas and all that other. Your last holiday cheer. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Happy holidays.
Jim.
Happy holidays to everybody. I really appreciate everybody that participated tonight. Thank you for spending Christmas Eve with us. I'm honored to be a part of this. Thank you.
Allan?
I say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I hope we have a great New Year and a healthy New Year for those who have experienced some health issues and those who are going through health issues. I want to wish you good health and Happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
Jim, I want to turn myself in. I just shocked Santa Claus. He didn't have no presents for me.
You act like
gone.
You're the Grinch, but we know you take care of people out there.
He's gone. He's gone. Santa Claus committed suicide outside my door. But anyway, we'll be back on Friday.
All right.